To be a success in the industry these days, I think you have to be able to pivot and do things while also considering the future. And I think Microsoft is able to do that a lot better than, say, a Sony or Nintendo. I feel like Sony is very much kind of stuck in the past. They kind of dip their toe into the future a little bit, but it doesn't feel like they're ready to jump in anytime soon. I'm not saying that they're in any danger of, having anything happen to them or having PlayStation go out of business or something like that. But basically, the things that are happening now are sort of going to end up making their gamers and their fans be the ones that are disappointed in the future, because the way things are going is a certain kind of way, and it doesn't seem like Sony is all that interested in going that way. So I guess we'll see what happens before too long. But anyway, I wanted to get into this because this I thought was a very good and interesting thing that happened to Xbox. We see this kind of stuff where people kind of ask about it and hey, what's going on? How's Xbox doing? And we never get really a clear answer, but now it looks like we're at least going to be getting some type of answer. So let's go ahead and get into it. Should be a fun video, so make sure you guys stick around for that. I can't wait to dive in. Let's go ahead and go. So we know Xbox pivots. They pivoted with the Xbox One multiple times. Obviously, when Sony has such a stranglehold on the industry where, they've been in the industry longer than Xbox, they get favorable reviews. They also have relationships with developers that Microsoft just don't have and probably never will. Money can do a lot of things, but obviously there's some of these developers that are incredibly just loyal to PlayStation. But whatever the case may be, Microsoft had to switch things up to be in a position where they could make money and survive in the industry without having to sell the most amount of plastic boxes. And one of the things that they did with this was obviously Game Pass, to make sure that Game Pass has, everything that gamers need, everything that they need. Subscription services are just kind of what we do now, right? And trust me, I fought against subscription services for a long time, clearly. But anyway, it looks like Game Pass has hit 30 million subscribers prior to the core tier launch, which is pretty damn good. Obviously, Xbox Game Pass has been growing every year since its first introduction in 2017, and it looks like the service hit a fairly substantial subscriber milestone last month thanks to a new job update from the Xbox marketing executive Craig McNary. We now know that the service has surpassed 30 million users by August of 2023. In a summary of his previous position at Microsoft, which wrapped up last month, the executive says he launched and grew Game Pass, the world's #1 gaming subscription service, to over 30 million members. Alongside plenty of other folks over at Microsoft, of course. Obviously, he's not taking all the credit here. But it is nice to see that, obviously, he says that it is. And late last year, thanks to an update from Sony during its fight with Xbox over the Activision Blizzard deal, we learned that the service was at 29 million users as of November of 2022. These numbers certainly line up, so the new LinkedIn update looks accurate as far as anybody can tell. However, the new number does not include Xbox Game Pass core members, which are likely to be rolled into the overall subscriber count in the near future. Remember, all existing Xbox Live Gold members will now automatically be moved over to Game Pass tier, which is the core level now, or the entry level. So this also did get an update after everybody was talking about it, because clearly everybody is looking for some kind of news on this. The Xbox executive or former has now removed the Game Pass figure from the profile, so it's worth taking it with a pinch of salt either way. But it does really line up. I mean, maybe he has some kind of NDA where he couldn't really state how much it had or whatever, but when you look at it and you look at these type of things, obviously you have to understand that NDAs are signed, and giving away information like that is probably not going to be a very smart thing to do. Anyway, it is still a nice thing to have, because if you think about it, you have paying subscribers, 30 million of them, and people think Xbox is so unprofitable or whatever, but the reality of the whole thing is that 30 million paying the Game Pass price would realistically lead to over $5 billion annually. So I know people think that Game Pass is unsustainable or whatever. I've always thought that was kind of a bunk argument, because if you're making $5 billion annually, and let's say you can double that and get 60 million subscribers, and you're talking over 10 billion annually, and their goal is to just put 4 big games a year in there. Even if those games cost $200 million each, that's $800 million. Even with all the third-party stuff that they're doing, even if you went 1.5 billion, you're still earning 9.5 billion at that point. Even at the current $5 billion rate, you're still earning 3.5 billion if that's the case. So it's not bleak like people want you to believe it is. Obviously, Microsoft has done their homework on this kind of stuff, and they know what's going to work out best for Xbox, and how the future is kind of rolling out. This is obviously like how people want to consume it. Now listen, I understand, like, I'm not a fan of cloud gaming. I don't care about cloud gaming at all. Everybody's been saying that's the future for 15, 20 years already, and every time it comes out it fails. So when I look at this, I say, hey, take everything with kind of a grain of salt or whatever, but this does line up, and I would expect some kind of official announcement soon. I think Game Pass is really set to grow, and I just think that Microsoft is waiting for that big, like, 40 million subscriber mark before they go all out and sort of announce it, and we could see something like that come as early as this holiday, because if you're looking at it, Game Pass is growing, very much so on the PC side as well as the Xbox side. Xbox sales have kind of exploded thanks to Starfield. Then you have Forza Motorsport. Then you're having Hellblade 2. Then you're having Avowed. Even smaller stuff like Towerborn looks like it's going to be a hit. That game, even though I get that it's not the big AAA game or whatever, really looks appealing to me as someone who likes Castle Crashers, because I think Castle Crashers is that game that really kind of reminds me of the 360 era. So, it really does. I think they've done a good job with making sure they have content that's not just one type of content, because anybody can go out there and put out, certain types of content, right? Like the same thing over and over again. I like the fact that Microsoft is heavily invested in, kind of what they're doing with the first party stuff, and it's all sort of varied content, which I think is incredibly important going forward. So, with that being said, I think that they are very much on the correct path, and it's an exciting thing to see them moving into the future with this. So, like I said, I'm excited by this. I know you all are excited as well. I can't wait to see what happens in the future. Should be fun anyway. Like I said, Microsoft has so much different content, so much varied content, that it makes sense to be able to do that. So, like I said, for me personally, like, I'm looking forward to stuff, even stuff like, if you think about this, right? Think about the stuff that that you might be looking forward to. For me personally, stuff like South of Midnight sounds really good. I would love more information on that. Clearly, Clockwork Revolution looks incredible, and I'm excited to see what they have to offer there as well. So it should be a good time. Anyway, let me know what you all think. I appreciate it. Rack 'em up. I'm Crap Gamer. This has been Crap Gamer Reviews. Peace.